Going to go ahead and get started here. I'd like to
Right.
take a second to thank everybody for coming to today's Data Platform Women in Technology Mental Health Day. This is a presentation by Dr. Lori Monaco. She is the founder and CEO of Align Yourself, Inc. She's an authenticity teacher, a speaker, and a coach. And like I said, she's a chiropractor. She specializes in mindfulness practice and transformation, and she's going to talk to us about being happy. Take off.
Hi. Yes, I'm going to talk to you about and with being happy, the power of laughter. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say a little bit something first before we get going, and then I'm going to share my screen. I have a nice little presentation for y'all. Isn't that fun? I'm saying y'all, and I'm from the Northeast, but I lived down south for many years, so maybe I just couldn't get rid of that. But maybe I'm just trying to get all my bases here because I know everybody's from everywhere. First, I want to say thank you for having me on this platform. Mental health is a really big, important thing for me. I work with people of all backgrounds, and I teach mindfulness practice, and I teach transformation and changing your life and aligning yourself with aligning with your authentic self and living a life of abundance. But it's really important to me, especially because I've dealt with depression for majority of my life. And so just to give you some insight, and this is really going to pertain greatly to what I'm about to have the presentation on today, is, I started noticing that I didn't realize it was depression until years later, but starting around 15 years old. And I had a major depressive episode when I was 23. It was very bad. It lasted for about a month and a half. And then I sort of waxed and waned. I never got therapy necessarily, off and on, and I didn't take any medication. So I managed it, at least I thought I was managing it for years. And then when I was 45, so just about almost 6 years ago, so I'm 51 now, so at 45, I hit my rock bottom place. I went into, had a personal situation happen that I wasn't expecting. And I went into a very, very bad depression. The depression lasted for 6 months. After about the first month of it, 3 weeks of it, I was suicidal. And it was after getting out of that really, really bad moment of that suicide level depression that I knew I had to make a change. And I started working with a therapist, and they still didn't think I needed to go on medication, but I really had to look at my life and look at what was going on and what had happened and all the years that I dealt with this depression. And I said, that's it. I'm done. I've had it. What do I need to do to fix this? The thing is, I had so much education in my life. I am a chiropractor, so I've had a lot of science education. On top of that, I have a lot of continuing education, and I did it in things that really interested me, especially behavioral development. I taught post-secondary human health sciences. So I taught anatomy and physiology for years, neuroanatomy and physiology for years, pathophysiology. I knew all these things, and I couldn't get out of my own way. I couldn't help myself. And it wasn't until I took that step and I took ownership of certain things in my life and I did the deep dive. I learned about myself. I worked with my therapist. I got a mentor. I read the books. I did the work. And I have to say that I have not had a depressive episode since I got out of that. I changed my business model. I started coaching. I started teaching. I started doing workshops. I've been a speaker for over 20 years, but I've changed the way I did things, and I have not looked back. And I've been thrilled with what I do now, and I love what I do. So I am passionate and purposeful with this stuff. So when we talk, so today's conversation, while we could say, oh, it's the power of laughter, like, what could I do with this? Maybe this was, I'm glad you're here. Maybe other people thought, I can't be, what could she teach me about this? But the whole point is that I want you to look at laughter as a healing tool. That's the whole point of this conversation today, that I want you to think of it as a mindfulness practice, because mindfulness practice is about being aware and being present and understand, like knowing what's going on with you at this given moment and how you are feeling and what you need to do to honor yourself with how you're feeling. So we always think of, when we think of mindfulness practice, we always think of, first thing people think of is meditation, so they get all all nice and they meditate, And that is a possibility. That's one thing that you can do, but it's not the only thing you can do. And that's why I do teach mindfulness workshops. I teach them, like, this is what it is and this is what you can do. And laughter is on the list. So we're going to talk about laughter, and we're going to talk about why it's so important and what it is, and even maybe things that you might know already, but it always helps to know more, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you have any questions on anything, um, please, feel free to put it in the chat box. I believe Leslie is going to alert me to when there's a question that's pertaining to something that I'm talking about, but I'm also planning to leave time towards the end to stop sharing and you can ask your questions, okay? And I'm not sure how we have this format, if it is that I can see anybody or if they limit who I can see and who can speak. So if it's through the chat box, that's totally fine. Okay. And I'm also leave information on how you can get in touch with me. So if you have any questions on anything, you want any further information, you can do it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And where are we? Okay. So here we go. All right. Okay. So welcome to the power of laughter. We know most people do laugh. Actually, everybody has the potential to laugh. We're going to talk about that. Most people do like to laugh. That's probably really what we need to say, is that they like to laugh. And so we all know that when we do laugh, we feel better. We may not know why we feel better, but we know that we feel better. So there is a tremendous power to laughter. And for some of you, you may know some of it. You may say, well, I feel good after I laugh, or I feel just like, like I'm more energetic after I laugh. But there's so many other pieces to the power of laughter. And with that, we're going to make sure that you are aware of these phenomenal, the phenomenal power of laughter, so that you make sure that you bring laughter into your every single day. This has been a real hard year on people. I know everybody here is in IT. So some of you may be used to working from home. Maybe you were doing that prior to all of this. Maybe some of you weren't. Maybe you really enjoyed being in, in your corporate realm, so that you at least had some communication with people. And then all of a sudden that got flipped around. My sister's been in IT since when nobody was in IT. Like we're talking like the 80s, when back in the day, the only way you got on a computer was the C prompt, and you had to, I never could get in properly with that. Now, and my sister's been in this for years, and now she does cybersecurity. And so she's, she knows how the challenges normally in this field, especially for women. But then add to all this extra stuff with, the pandemic and the isolation piece. And so this has become really, really important. Mindfulness practice has become really important, especially for mental awareness, mental and emotional awareness, mental health, and, just our well-being in general. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so laughter is fabulous, first of all. But laughter is, so we're just going to define it. It's a physical reaction in humans consisting usually of rhythmical, often audible contractions of the diaphragm and other parts of the respiratory system. It is a response to certain external and internal stimuli. Laughter can arise from such activities as being tickled, or from humorous stories or thoughts. Most commonly, it's considered an auditory expression or a number of positive emotional states, such as joy, mirth, happiness, relief, etc. Okay, so this is just, just defining our terms here, just to, just in case you ever want to know how to define laughter. But that's what it is, and we laugh for a lot of reasons. When we think of laughter, most often we do think of the positive elements. So when we're talking about emotional states such as joy and happiness and mirth and even a relief, just that felt good. We all can relate, but it can be more complicated than that, and we're going to see. So how cute are these babies, right? So we are born with the ability to laugh. It is automatic in us, no matter what. The laughter ability to laugh begins, first of all, it's unconscious. Okay, so we don't even know that we do it at the beginning. It just automatically happens. And we begin laughing about the third or fourth month of life. Sometimes it could be 2 months, it could be as early as that. I know that smiling can come even sooner than that, and it's not always that the baby has gas, but laughing really starts around third or fourth month, and by the 6th month, they have that real hard belly laugh. And of course, no, everybody takes joy in seeing a little baby laugh and making them laugh. And they laugh at the silliest things, like you feel like the most extraordinary comedian when you're dealing with a small baby, because they'll laugh at just like a facial expression or ripping paper. So it's actually cathartic to be around a baby when they're laughing. Sometimes I just like to listen to them laugh. But the thing is, we also can laugh with stressors. So it's not necessarily something that's funny or exciting to us. So we can have nervous laughter, we can have embarrassment laughter, we can have surprise laughter, we can even laugh when we're angry. And we are not the only species that laughs. Although, interestingly, there's not a lot of species that laugh. So chimpanzees and bonobos, so certain types of apes, I believe gorillas and orangutans laugh as well. Dogs and rats laugh. So I have dogs, and I thought that was interesting because I've never seen my dog laugh, technically. Penguins can laugh, and other types of birds. And the way they've gauged this, because researchers have worked with this, that the higher species, like the apes, you could see their expressions, you could see it in their face that they're laughing. Dogs and rats don't necessarily change their position of their face, but they have contributed to certain sounds that they make that actually are a form of pleasure sounds and laughter. That's what they figured out, right? And I didn't even know that, and I've been a dog owner for years. But the interesting thing is, though, that it does require a higher level, a higher brain developmental level to laugh the way we do. Okay, so even though these other species will laugh, they don't necessarily laugh at something comical. Maybe chimps do, like if a person were to fall or do something like that, maybe like slapstick kind of comedy. Chimps and apes, might be able to do that. But most of the time, their laughter is usually with touch, like tickling or fooling around with them, or playing with like something, with them. Whereas we tend to laugh, like even just thinking about something can make us laugh. They've not been able to see that even in the higher species like apes. Okay, so most laughter does not come from jokes. So I thought this was interesting, right? So we make the assumption that laughter is because of jokes, that, somebody tells a joke, it's going to be funny. But actually, most laughter doesn't come from jokes. And there's a really good reason for this. It's not saying that they can't. It's just that most doesn't. Most laughing does not. Women laugh more than men, and men make an attempt to be funnier more often than women, usually to impress the female persuasion. So these were, again, research studies done. So women like to laugh more than men, and men like to be the ones to be funny. Now, I grew up in a family of comedians, I joke around all the time. Like I can run with the best. And I always say it's a genetic flaw. Like I can't not be funny. Actually, I can not be funny. I do really well. I'm a very personal individual, and I can talk to anyone and anyone, anybody, anywhere. But if I'm one-on-one with an individual or even with a group that really has very minimal sense of humor, I get tongue-tied, and it's the fun. And I laugh at myself when I get that way, because I'll say something, and when I see it's not received, and then I say, well, maybe they didn't hear me, and I'll say it something again, and it's not received back, and they just sort of real deadpan face, like, like that. I don't know how to respond to them. So that I get really quiet. I get quiet. So those are the people that I have the hardest times communicating with. But more often than not, most people do have some sort of sense of humor. It just takes a little bit of getting to know what that sense of humor is, if you are the individual that likes to make people laugh. And again, I love making people laugh. I don't gauge who I am based on that. So I'm not like massively disappointed if I don't get somebody to laugh, but I do truly enjoy when a person when I do get them to laugh. It brings me joy. Okay, so laughter is absolutely universal. People from every walk of life laugh. Laughter is more often considered positive. So remember the other things that I said about that, people can laugh with anger, people can laugh with nervousness. Even in other cultures, most laughter is considered positive. It's a positive thing. Even without understanding the language, laughter translates. So you could go to another country, not speak the language at all, but if you were in a group of people and there is something funny happening and you're laughing and the other people are laughing, you can create a connection. And that's the beauty of laughter, is that it allows people to create a connection. Again, not everybody laughs at the same thing, and not everybody likes to laugh all the time. But those that do like to laugh, if you are a person that likes to laugh and you're in the company of other people that like to laugh, no matter what their background is, you will always be able to connect with them, which is the beauty of it. Laughter can connect people from anywhere. So I got ahead of myself in that. And laughter transcends age, culture, and religion. And that is truly what I feel is the beauty of laughter and why it can be so, so powerful. So when we're talking about mindfulness practice, when we're talking about using mindfulness practice to help us balance, create balance in our life. Some people don't like that term of balance because they say, well, balance is impossible. And when you try to get balance in your life, you just stress yourself out more. Okay, I get what they're saying. So we can use another term. We could say harmony, right? It's really semantics. I mean, it's just what you believe. But harmony, balance, it doesn't matter. I'm coming from a science, like a human anatomy background. So for me, the body is always striving to become balanced. It's always tweaking itself for the utmost balance throughout the day. So when it's off balance, it will do whatever it needs to do to bring it back to balance. And the term we use is homeostasis. And then if it goes out in another direction, it will turn back. To me, mindfulness practice, what its job is to constantly bring you back to that homeostatic model, that idea of all your systems in your body working at a balanced level. And your balance could not just be the systems of your body, like your heart, your cardiovascular system, your nervous system, things like that, but it could also just be your overall system, like your mental balance, your emotional balance, your social balance, things like that. And so mindfulness practice, that's the beauty of it. That's what it's for. It's to make you aware of when things are not balanced, and then giving you tools to use to bring you back into balance, to to get you back to what you feel is optimal balance for yourself. And I'll give you an example. So when we have a lot of stress going on, I mean, we can't avoid stress. Stress is inevitable. And we are, by the way, very equipped to handle stress as humans. We are very equipped to handle this. But here's the rub. We are equipped to handle acute stress, short-term stress. We are really not designed to handle long-term chronic stress. And as a result, our lives, the way they are inundated with chronic stress. So if we cannot get away from the chronic stress, we have to learn to manage the stress. And the only way to do that is to create mindfulness practice, like bring mindfulness into your everyday life. And with that, you have to decide what pieces will work for you. So you could do things like, practice gratitude. You can meditate, you can stretch, you can do yoga. For me, and I have a whole list of them. Like I do a whole thing of mindfulness practice every day. Laughter is one of them. So prior to this, Leslie and I were talking, and I think it was Leslie, right? Or maybe it was Kathy, that I think it was Kathy, that she said that she has all these speaking engagements, like she's like overbooked herself for the month, right? And I had two speaking engagements back to back yesterday, one today, one tomorrow, and I had one on Tuesday. Now I don't know if I have any next week, but I was a little stressed out because in the interim of all this, because I create PowerPoints, some of them they're already created, but I always tweak things, I prep, whatever. In the interim, I just sent my 7-year-old to back to school after over a year. She finally went back for the last 6 weeks physically to school, which she didn't want to go, kicking and screaming on Monday. And my dad fell ill. My dad is 88, going to be 88 years old. He fell ill, and he's bedridden. And we all live in the same house, so he's required a lot of my attention to make sure, because he's gotten up a couple of times, he's fallen, he needs help toileting, all these things. All of these things hit in the same week, and my stress levels, I felt them going up. So I had to go to my go-to things. I had to do my gratitude practice, like really kick it up a notch. I had to sit and breathe. I had to do all these things. And laughter has been a real big help for me. I've been doing a lot of laughing. And you know what also helps me? Teaching. I love teaching. I've been a teacher for almost 20 years in some elements, and a speaker for that long. And I love teaching people. This is my happy zone. So I'm thrilled to be here on so many levels, because you're also helping me manage my stress with my personal life. Okay. All right. So that being said, this is why we laugh. Okay. We laugh when something is funny. Oh my God, that's not rocket science, right? Like, you don't have to have a degree to understand that one. Of course, we laugh when something is funny. If we believe it's funny, we're going to laugh. But we also laugh when something is not funny. Like sometimes something will be said and it could be like sarcastic, or it could be just said and we just find it funny. Or better yet, I remember when I was a kid, so I grew up in the Catholic religion, right? And so I would go to church with for years I went with my mom and dad, but then for a while I went with my friend and her mother. And inevitably, when we were teenagers, we would go, and I would want to laugh at church so that my friend and I would start giggling. And there was no reason to giggle. There wasn't anything funny, but we would just get into this little laughter thing. And then her mother would say every week, "I'm not taking you guys together next time," or "I have to sit between you." And so sometimes at the worst times, we laugh when it's inappropriate. And it makes it worse is what other people are thinking. Like maybe you're at a funeral, and then all of a sudden you find, that it's funny, and oh my gosh, it's inappropriate. But so sometimes we don't even know why we laugh. We laugh when we're being silly or we're being chased. you know I love being silly. I'm silly all the time. I do my workshops being silly. I do networking being silly, just because I love to laugh and I love to make people laugh. But I laugh even when somebody's chasing me too, right? So we are laugh when we're tickled. We laugh when we laugh when we're nervous. We laugh when we're sad. We laugh when we're angry. Okay, but we prefer to laugh when it's a positive, right? That's when we prefer to laugh. What each person finds funny is unique to them. So this is why when I had said that not all laughter is due to jokes, because you could be sitting in a comedy show, and you could be this comedian is absolutely fantastic, and you get there and you're like, wow, I didn't think they were all that funny. Why is it that some comedians do well with certain people? Because that they find them funny. Like my daughter, I have a 17-year-old. She's going to graduate high school in another month and a half, and she actually a month. She loves the guys that the Impractical Joker guys, right? And she just watches their shows all the time, and she wanted to go see them live. So before the pandemic hit, I got her a ticket to go see them here at the casinos in Connecticut, and I went with her. And I went because, I mean, they're okay. They're not, they're funny, but she finds them hilarious. And then she says to me all the time, "I can't believe you don't think they're that funny." I'm like, well, they're funny, but they're funny like in a different way. And I get uncomfortable when they're making fun of people, like when they're fooling people. That's not my brand of comedy or humor, but there was some funny pieces. But what brought me joy and made me laugh was seeing her laugh. So that made me laugh. How a person laughs is unique to them. Every person laughs differently. I love hearing the way people laugh. Some people's laughter makes me laugh, just hearing the sound or the way they look when they're laughing. My favorite is when you get laughing and you get somebody laughing so hard that they look like they're in pain. Like no sound is coming out, their face is red, they're crying. And I love when we get to that level where where there's a group of us and we can't even breathe, and it makes you laugh even harder. So it's beautiful to see people laughing. How often a person laughs is unique to them. Some people don't like to laugh that much. Some people don't laugh that often during even something that's funny. Other people laugh all the time, absolutely all the time. And it is contagious. We laugh 30 times as much when we're with other people than we do when we're alone. Okay. So, with that, because it depends on the person, what they find funny, I'm gonna give you a test, okay? So I'm gonna tell you a story, and this is a really good story because it has a moral to it. We're gonna see how you connect with the story, how you resonate with the story. And I encourage you to share the story when you feel it's appropriate. So, in other words, this story has a moral to it in that sometimes we have to, when we're telling somebody something, they don't always hear what we're saying. And we need to learn to be patient with them because we need to be very direct and clear because they don't always hear what we're saying. So the next time you're working, whether it's with a customer or client, or you're working with a coworker and they're not hearing what you say, instead of getting frustrated, I want you to think about the story and maybe even share the story with them to maybe get them to understand where you're coming from. Okay, so this woman walks into an ice cream shop, and the man behind the counter says, "Oh, hello, ma'am. How can I help you?" And she says, "Oh, I have been thinking about chocolate ice cream all day. So can I get a half a gallon of chocolate to go?" He says, "Oh my gosh, ma'am, I am so sorry. We have no chocolate ice cream. We just ran out. We have so many other flavors. We have vanilla, we have strawberry. Can I get you something else?" She goes, "Oh, okay. You know what? Just give me a pint of chocolate to go." He said, "Ma'am, maybe you didn't hear me. We have no chocolate. We just ran out. We've got vanilla, we've got strawberry, we have so many other flavors. Can I get you something else?" Hmm. Okay. Uh, hmm. You know what? Why don't you just give me a scoop of chocolate to go in a cup?" He said, "Ma'am, can you do me a favor?" He said, "Can you spell the van in vanilla?" She's like, "Why do you need me to spell the van in vanilla?" He goes, "Just humor me." She goes, "Okay, it's VAN." He said, "That's perfect. That's great." He says, "Now, can you spell the straw and strawberry?" She's like, "But I don't understand. Like, why are you asking me that?" And he's like, just humor me." She's like, "All right, it's SCRAW." He said, "Great. Now, can you spell the fucking chocolate?" She goes, "Well, there is no fucking chocolate." He goes, "Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you." So, with that in mind, either you're going to find that funny or you're going to be offended by my swear, and I apologize. It doesn't go well without the swear, so I apologize if that offended anybody. But here's the best part of this story. And I see comments coming in. So let me see if that went well for everybody. Okay, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Not offended. Thank you. I appreciate that. Feel free to share that story. But here, let me tell you a little history on this thing. Okay. So the history of this real quickly, this is what makes this. I tell this joke a lot in my workshops. I do have to know my audiences. Can't tell it to everybody, but I do tell this a lot, and I tell this in networking groups, but I I love this because it is funny, I feel. And then it's also funny because of the history for me. So I went to chiropractic school and was stuck with a group of people that we were stuck together. There's about 30 to 35 of us, depending. Some we gained, some we lost over the time. But we were together for 13 terms. Each term lasted 4 months, 3 months, and we were together for 13 terms, technically 12. The last term we couldn't extern, so a lot of people weren't there. But we were together. And in the 12th term, we were tired of each other. We were there Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. And we were like siblings. We were just so tired of each other. And one of my classmates, she would always, from the get-go, would ask a question. Very smart woman. She was graduated second in class, but she would raise her hand and then say, "I'm confused." And every time we would try to move on from a subject, she would say, "Okay, is everybody clear on this?" And the teacher would ask, and she would raise her hand. We'd be like, "Oh, Wendy, come on, just get going," right? So we get frustrated with her. Well, here we are in our 12th term. We've just about had it with each other. And we're in a class. We had just started the term, just started the 12th term. And within moments of the class starting, our first class, she raises her hand and we're all like, you've got to be kidding. She's asking a question already. So the teacher knew her already because he had already had us as students. And he says, okay, Wendy, what, you got a question? She says, well, I don't have a question, but I have a story I just wanted to share. Like, okay. Now, mind you, in the 3.5 years that we have been with this woman, she's hardly laughed at any of our jokes. She's never told a joke before. And I didn't even think she had a sense of humor. She tells the story. She gets to the punchline. And we all pause and we look around at each other. And even the teacher, the professor was like, and then we realized it was a joke. Then we realized it was a funny joke. And we laughed for like 10 minutes straight. All of us did. And it was the coolest icebreaker ever because we were already ready to be on each other's, cases because we were all in short fuses. And that really shifted things. So that it holds a very special place for me. And I hope that you can use it and really, connect with people with that one. Okay. So let's talk about the power of what laughter can do to the body. Okay, so and I'm going to go through these slides because I want to make sure that we have time for Q&A, but I also want to make sure that we have time for just a couple of slides of what you can do to implement laughter in your day. Okay, so cardiovascular system is exercise. There's no doubt. Like if you're laughing hard enough, you could feel your heart rate go up. Okay. And the heart rate does, in fact, go up. In fact, the laughter creates a stress response, which increases your heart rate, increases your blood pressure. But here's the cool thing about laughing it gets it to go up temporarily and then it will relax back to normal. It's just sort of like exercise. If you exercise, your heart rate goes up. And when you stop exercising, it goes down. It's very good for you. So even though we say it triggers a stress response, but there's good stress triggers and there's bad stress triggers, right? Okay. It increases oxygen to the body and the brain. We can all use more oxygen to our brain and, of course, to the rest of our body. It gets our core muscles exercised. You feel it in your abs. I mean, I think, gosh, if I could laugh all day, would that like give me a six pack? That's what I want to know. I got to tell you, I've tried it, and it's I think I have to do a little bit more like Pilates and yoga to get that, but I'm willing to give the daily laughter, more of a try. Brain activity boosts. Okay, it increases. There's so many positives to laughter and what it does for your brain. So this is something that we really, especially considering the decline we have seen in our population, cognitively speaking, and it's been noticeable since people have been more at home and very isolated. Chemicals are released, endorphins, your natural painkillers, dopamine, these dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and the endorphins are all part of what we call our happy chemicals, our feel-good chemicals. Dopamine is part of our reward system. It is a nerve chemical. Serotonin is part of our pleasure. It's our pleasure chemical. It is also a nerve chemical, and oxytocin, which is our bonding chemical. It is a hormone mostly associated with direct touch, but laughter can increase it. And so that means that even without touch, we bond. And that is a very interesting thing because we do bond with laughter. Have you ever been outside in public and maybe saw somebody's like t-shirt and read it and thought it was funny? And then you look at you're reading, and they could tell you're reading the t-shirt, and you read it and you go, oh my God, that's so funny. You start laughing. You're like, your t-shirt's great. And then the person starts laughing with you. And there's this connection that's instantly formed, even as you're passing by each other. And so there's a bond. There's like absolute bond. And I love that. I love when that happens. I love when people are like, have really cool masks on and they have little sayings and stuff like that. Or they have hats that have sayings. Okay. In addition, it decreases cortisol, our stress hormone. And here's the interesting thing about cortisol. When cortisol is elevated for extended periods of time, it's okay in short bursts for acute stress, but long-term stress, cortisol elevates, it shuts down your immune system, it shuts down your digestive system. It also will decrease the release of DHEA, which is a very powerful brain chemical to help build up the brain. All right. So it will help decrease cortisol. Body and mind relax when you laugh. It's compensatory. It triggers the stress response followed by the relaxation response. And that is why we relax. Reduces pain. So we have those endorphins that are released. Immune response boosts, and we can all use that, right? I think that's a fabulous one. Increases connectivity in various parts of the brain. So they've done functional MRIs while people are laughing, and the amount of brain activity during laughter is incredible. It is one of the things that causes the most widespread simultaneous brain activity out of all the things that we do is laughter. So this is because really think about this. When we laugh, we don't just sit there and like laugh, like we laugh like we're moving around, we're thinking, so there's all this thing that's associated with the laughter, but it also it's lighting up areas in the brain that are like associated with tremendous positive emotions. Okay. Releases neurotrophic factor, which supports neurons, your brain cells. It supports them, which is great for the prevention of dementia. Less likely to develop tau tangles and amyloid plaques. This is a big one. That is very specific to Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer, one of the two of the factors that associated with Alzheimer is what are called tau tangles, which is where the insides of your nerve cells get twisted, and plaquing on the neurons, which kills them off. It kills the nerve cells off. And laughter can decrease the potential for this. So this is really big. And it's not just a laugh here and there, it's laughter every single day. Okay. So what it does is it boosts the points of your brain, the frontal lobe, which is here, your executive function. This is your reasoning area, your thought process, your working memory. So when you think something's funny, you're thinking why it's funny. You're thinking how it's funny to you. When did I hear that before? Can I remember this? Because I really want to remember this. But it also triggers your emotional brain, your limbic brain, which is the amygdala and the hippocampus. And the amygdala is associated with your stress response. This is the part that's your fight or flight. But it relaxes the amygdala. It creates positive memories because it'll go from a short term to long term with the hippocampus and then up to the frontal lobe in your working memory. And it helps decrease anxiety because these three areas are looping together. And if the amygdala is too active, it'll increase anxiety, or it's the cause of increased anxiety. And if we can get it to calm down, we're like, fantastic. So this is definitely key for mental health. Okay. So is laughing important? See, to me, just looking at the pictures makes me want to laugh. Like if I see people laughing, I laugh. In fact, they have compilations on YouTube where you could just see people laughing. Years ago, my grandfather had a record. I'm dating myself. I had a record, right? So he had a record of just people laughing, and they would put it on during like family get-togethers, and everybody would just start laughing at the laughter. And I see comments popping up, so I want to make sure that I'm sitting. Oh, I see people putting up favorite shirts. Me too. Thank you. I love this. When I saw I giggled. Anyone recall the Klein is Divine shirt that Quest Software made for Kevin Klein? That's great. And I love that you're all sharing this, right? Because like I said, everything is different. So, I encourage you, go ahead, put in the chat, and you could save the chat afterward. You should be able to save the chat after, but put in little anecdotes, little things that works for you, that makes you laugh. I find so many things funny that we don't have enough time for me to list in the chat what I find funny. But I do encourage you, because you might open somebody's mind up to discovering something else, Like I love, one of the things is I love really witty, funny commercials. Not that I watch a lot of TV, but when they do, and especially when they make fun of current situations. So like there's the one, I think it's the best part of waking up, Folgers, right? So Folgers shows the guy and they can't get his zoom, he's going like this, and it's so low that he's showing that he has no pants on, and he's got his boxers on, and the people are just sort of sitting. And And I laugh because that's like reality, that's total reality right now. I promise though, I have pants on. I have, they don't really match my dress, but I do have pants on. I'm not just sitting in underwear. But you know what? On any other given day, I can't make that guarantee. But for you all, I have that. So, okay. So absolutely laughter is important. You're going to see, we just that little bit that we said that it can do, it is so beneficial to us. So we need to bring laughter. And especially if you're finding that you're very stressed out, that you're finding that it's really your coping mechanisms are really dwindling, that you are really finding it very challenging to keep going. Listen, I get you. I hear this a lot from clients. We have been overworked this year. Some people have had no work. Some people have been, their work has been limited. And then you get the other people who've been sent home and they are working more hours than they ever did when they were physically in the job because the boundaries have been very blurred, right? And you can't escape it, And listen, I know my business is at home. Like I am, even though I've done, but prior to the pandemic, I would go out and travel to speak, but my office is at home. So I'm always around people. And so I have to deal with that all the time, and people don't seem to get that when you work from home, that you're working, like they're always coming in asking you to do something for them right at that moment. So there's a lot of that going on and you can't escape it. So if you're stressed at work and your work is home, where are you going to go? Which is probably why the liquor stores did really well during the pandemic. But anyway, that was just an observation. So, all right. So, how to bring laughter into your everyday. Okay. You have to create a mixed bag. Like you have to create a whole bunch of things that are going to bring you joy. And it's not just, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be full blown, deep seated laughter, but even just joy. Okay. How can you bring that every day? But I'm going to make you one up it and I'm going to make you create a list of things that make you laugh because come on, you're in technology. At any drop of it, you could just plop something into the computer and instantly, like we are total instant gratification people. That is why our attention span is so lousy. Researchers have found that our attention span is that it's less than a goldfish, which is 7 seconds. First of all, how the hell did they research this? Like, did they actually ask the goldfish questions, to see what they were paying attention to? Apparently they figured it out, but nonetheless, we know that here's the deal, we have to give ourselves permission. We know that we can access anything at any moment. Okay. Especially all of you, you're good in technology. Those of us that are technologically challenged still can figure this out too. So, but we have to give ourselves permission. So I'm giving you permission to take these moments throughout your day to practice self-care and let laughter be one of these practices. Okay, so here we go. Decide that you want to laugh every single day. Make a decision. I know it sounds silly to say that, but again, it's just what I said. Give yourself permission. Make a decision that I am going to laugh today. So when you do that, when you get up in the morning, I like to start my day with gratitude. I like to start my day with just a breathing exercise. Sometimes meditation, it depends. And then I I set the intention for my day. And my intention is always across the board. I don't have to say it. And I'm going to laugh today. So maybe you have to actually say that I'm going to do something or watch something or talk to somebody and get myself to laugh today. So we're going to say, I'm going to decide to laugh every day. Write down a list of the things that make you laugh. We're list people. Come on, you're going to make a to-do list about all the stuff you have to do. Make a to-do list on what you're going to laugh about today, And again, you could, you could find things anywhere. So if there's maybe a joke book, maybe YouTube, YouTube is just, what would we do without YouTube? YouTube, you could put in anything in the search box and anything will come up. So for instance, I've honed my list of things, right? So my list includes talking to people, looking at cartoons, like pictures of cartoons, like funny sayings, funny quotes. But I also like YouTube. And I could watch a sitcom. I'm really great at watching certain sitcoms, but my favorite are bloopers of the sitcoms. So I take my favorite sitcoms like Seinfeld, Friends, King of Queens, like any of those things. Everybody Loves Raymond. And I watch the outtakes and they're on YouTube. They have all the seasons, and I just sit there and put them up, especially when I'm in the mood to really, like, I really need it. And it gets me going. So you have to write down your list of your go-to. These are your tools, because here's why. If one's not working today, then you have to go to the next one. You can't look at it and say, I tried this, it's not working. Go to the next one, because some days they won't always work. So you have to make sure. Now, I have a little thing that I do with my friends, right? And so I give, they have my phone number, and I say to them, listen, if you're having a lousy day, let me know. And the code word is a poop emoji. So what they do is they text me a poop emoji, and then I know that this is not a good day for them. So I send a text back and I say, you okay? Or no, this is what I say. I say, you need to talk to me. You want to text? Or I'll say talk question mark, text question mark. And they'll say yes if they want to, and they'll say which one, or they'll say no. And then because sometimes they just want to let me know they're not feeling great. And I'll say, okay, no problem. And then I send them a barrage of emojis that make zero sense. They could be anything and everything. They could be an arrow sign. They can be, a person on a surfboard. They could be, a grapes, anything. But I send like about 30 of them, and it has the same reaction every time. The person will send back a laugh emoji. And then I say, was that enough? Or do you need more? Or do you need me to call you? And it works. And I do it because I know they need it. And I'm thrilled that they reached out to me. And it also helped me, because that's the beauty of laughter. When you make somebody laugh, it also makes you feel good. So that's the beauty of it. Okay, so write down your list. So I want you to do this between now and Sunday night. Create space in your day to laugh. Yes, set an appointment. If you are a block calendar, digital calendar person, put it in your break. I'm going to laugh right now. If you are that person, bless your heart if you're that person. I'm not that person. I have blocks to a certain level, but I have to fly by the seat of my pants in some areas. But if you are that blocky, go ahead. But if not, just set aside, hey, I'm going to, you know what, I need to clear my head. I'm going to just watch something funny. If you are feeling stressed, take a laugh break. Okay, like if you need to stop, just go outside, watch something funny, or you can even do these things. Call your tribe, call your friend, phone a friend. Be silly as often as you can. Do something silly. Go somewhere where nobody's seeing you and do something silly and make yourself laugh. I have no problem. I can always make myself laugh. That's the funny part about it, is that I can make, and remember, this is coming from a person who had depression. Okay. And I'm saying bad depression. So, I mean, every day, I could laugh sometimes, but I was mostly just miserable most of my day. And I am the person who just could make myself laugh. So I could totally entertain myself. So when you get to that level, it is really joyful that you could do that. And then I laugh at myself even more, knowing that I could do it. So it's like this interesting cycle. Does it happen all day, every day? No, I have my moments, I have my pity parties. I go through those, but I give myself a time limit on the pity parties. It's like, okay, tonight for the next 2 hours, I'm going to binge watch Friends and eat popcorn and some chocolate, maybe, but just for the 2 hours. And then I'm going to go to bed. And then tomorrow's going to be a different day. And I hold myself to it. You can also force yourself to laugh. There is something called laughter yoga, which uses that concept, forces you to laugh, doing silly things, following each other to generate real laughter. Okay. So I know it sounds like, how could that be possible? But it really is. So the way you can do, I'm going to show you a trick, and this is it. You're going to practice laughter breathing. Okay. So the way you do laughter breathing is you will take a breath in. You don't have to do it right now, but this is the way you would do it, but you can more than welcome to do it right now. So you start off this way, and it's always okay to do it by yourself because it is a little weird in a way, but if you could do it with other people that you're comfortable with, it's so much more fun. And so you could close your eyes and you just sit up straight and you take a breath in through your nose or through your mouth, doesn't matter. And on the exhale, you're going to laugh until you breathe out all the way. Then you do the same thing again. You breathe in, and then on the exhale, you laugh. Now, again, you know, it'd be weird to do it by yourself or with a group where that's not laughing at you. Let's put it that way. It's easier when you're by yourself. If you could do it with a group that's going to do it with you, that's even more fun. But I used to do this when I was driving and in traffic, mind you. And I would laugh because a couple times because you could tell I'm doing something because I'm taking a breath in and then laughing. And I would catch people looking at me and sometimes looking at me really weird, weird like, or they would be laughing. And I didn't care. It didn't bother me any if they were looking at me weird because I gave them a story at least to talk about. As soon as they got to work, this weird lady next to me in the traffic was doing this really weird thing. But you know what? Listen, I'm okay with that. Sounds good to me. Okay. So, but let me, before we get to that. So, again, just to reiterate, I want you to get your list of what's going to work for you. Okay. Pull out all stops. You don't have to write this list in one shot. You can do the list, take a couple of days to create this list, add on as you need to. Okay. But have that there and put it in your phone because we always have our phones with us. You don't want to say, oh, I left my list at home, so I couldn't laugh today. I couldn't remember my list. No, you're not going to go there. You're going to take your phone, you're going to take a snap of it, or you're going to put it on your phone in your notes, and you're going to remind yourself, put it in your reminder. Put it in your reminder. Laugh today. Do something funny, do something silly. Get other people to laugh if that's the case. And let them in on it. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start this thing where I'm going to start laughing more today. Do you want to do that with me? Do you want to, and they'll probably be on board with it because they would like to do that, So I'm going to cut the screen out for a minute. We're going to look at some if anybody has any questions because we have a few minutes left. But here's what I do want to offer you if you're interested. Okay, and I could put this in the chat. I have something, a free downloadable something that I teach called the 7 core pillars of alignment. And the mindfulness piece plays a role in all of these. And it's just about aligning with different elements of yourself, like your mental state, your emotional state, your social state, your spiritual state. And if anybody's ever interested in doing a 30-minute alignment evaluation based on these 7 core pillars, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put that into the chat in a moment and my information so you can reach out to me. Okay. But just remember to own the power and laugh, laugh, laugh. Don't hesitate to laugh. Okay. You'll feel it in your core as you do. And this is all the ways you can take a snap picture of that and you can reach out to me. I'm very accessible. Even if you want to just send me a text message with laughing emojis, I'm good with that. If you're going to send me a poop emoji, you just have to put your first name on there at least so I can know who I'm talking to. All right. But I'm more than happy to send you something to make you laugh if that's the case. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my info into the chat box for those of you that are interested and open it up for questions. Did that go in? Yes, I think it did. Right. Okay, so there's me. All right, so let's see what we have in the chat box. We have a few minutes left. Burps get me going. Yes. Again, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So Jennifer, burps get you going. You know what gets me going? And I feel terrible about this. People falling. I hate admitting because I'm a nice person and I value the fact that I'm a nice person. But when people fall, it makes me laugh. And I warned my children. I told you I have 51, right? I have a 27-year-old, a 17, and a 7. Yes, that just there makes you want to laugh, right? So I tell my kids all the time, listen, I'm just going to warn you if you fall, I'm sorry, but I'm going to laugh. I will check in to make sure you're not hurt. If you're not, I'm going to keep laughing. But if you are, I will stop laughing. But initially, that's just my reaction. They know this, right? They know this. Other people inadvertently farting makes me laugh. Yes. Can you fart in the chat? Well, we just did. So there you go. We didn't. Nobody muted it out or took it out. So, and So I love this. I love how you're all sharing. Best gift you give someone is laugh or smile. Absolutely, Deb. Thank you. And let's see. I must ask you later what that means. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we have here. Recently fell running and busted my head open. Oh, okay. That's not funny though. I didn't hear the lady who asked if I was okay laughing. Oh, I'm sorry, Leslie. You know what? I got to tell you, I would never laugh at somebody out in public. I can tell when somebody hurts themselves and I run immediately to help somebody. So I would never ask. And that's not, um, the link should be in the chat box. So you should be able to see that. So yes, you know what? Absolutely. I'm really more talking about like watching videos of people laughing. And there's this guilty pleasure. I do feel like I feel bad that I'm laughing at them. I hope they're not hurt kind of deal. My kids, though, I've sort of established that very quickly I'll determine if they're hurt and I won't. So I hope I didn't insult you. Like it wasn't meant to be that way at all. Absolutely. I'm definitely an altruistic individual that I will check on people always before. Anyone else not seeing the links? If you scroll up in the chat, it should be there. It said for all panelists, so it should be there. Okay, that's an interesting one, Victoria. Okay. All right. So, does anybody have any questions? We have just a couple minutes left. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I'll just look at the chat, scroll up a bit. Yes, there we go. And thank you for reposting that. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to say that I really thank you so much for this. I really appreciate being here and hoping that, in the end, remember, when we're talking about mental emotional states and mental well-being, it is up to us to take charge of ourselves, to ask for help, decide when there's an issue that really needs to be addressed, like professionally, but reach out to people and, don't just know that you're never alone. That's just it. Like we all have the challenges and we all have learned ways to get through them. Some of us not so much, but we can all help each other. So that's what I've decided that my passion and purpose is to help people get past those things, that maybe what you're not doing for yourself is what's causing the mental health issues or challenges. And for me, I know I can speak specifically for me that was the case. Like for me, not owning who I was, not being in love with who I was and being comfortable with myself led to my depression. And because of that, I'm a completely different person. So thank you so much. And thank you,
Well, thank
Leslie.
you so much for coming and speaking to us.